Your screenshot says Friday, Jill. And if I take the screenshot at that level, mine says Sunday.
We are live.
We're live.
Yes. Hello, Podfeet.
Hello.
Looks like you're ready to do a show.
I am ready to do a show.
How
talking to
convenient.
Jill
It's
in the
5
live
o'clock
chat room, too.
Sunday night.
Whoops.
Sunday at Casa Sheridan.
One. That's the wrong screenshot.
So, John, the button do you have the right sidebar? Can you see that in your Discord? There goes Kevin.
Kevin! You just keep that locked and loaded and ready to post that, huh?
He does.
Yeah, because it is Sunday, but it's the wrong. Yeah. It's not this Sunday.
So you see the badge, John?
Where we do conversations. All right. I'm sorry that I'm trying to figure out how the podcast is going to come out, Steve.
That's secondary.
Yeah.
We need that badge solidified.
All right. Hey, so let's see. Some of the people here, John and Jill and Steve, know Brett Terpster from MacStock. He is my freaking hero.
He's good.
There's going to be some cool stuff coming out about him in the next couple of weeks.
Cool stuff found?
We have to start. No, cool stuff made.
Ah.
All right, I'm going to start because I got a lot to read.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, wait.
That's right.
We have Kevin and Jill and Lynn and Ed and John and Kurt and Ron and Sandy and Zoe.
Anyone we missing in the sidebar? Speak up or forever hold your peace.
Oh, yeah, I hit the right sidebar. I like it now. All right, here we go. Places, everyone. Water. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, November 9th, 2025, and this is show number 1070. Well, before we get started today, I want to make sure that the live audience knows there will be no live show next week on November 16th. Steve and I are off to Houston to help take care of the grandkids. I'd love to do the live show from there someday, but our son Kyle's house is pretty much all hardwood floors, so sound travels really, really well in that house. And there's 3 little tiny kids there. They do have a great study for recording, but we kind of need 2 rooms for the live show since Steve produces it and needs good sound as well. Anyway, you know you're going to get a show on time or even early, so don't worry your pretty little head about it. But please don't show up at podfeet.com/live at 5 p.m. until November 23rd. I have already recorded NC 1071. It's already in the can. It's ready to push publish, so I know it's going to happen.
If you remember.
Well, it might automatically go.
You might get 2.
We don't know. Yeah, it might come out. At the same time. Nobody knows. I mean, it might come out automatically. We don't know.
Should we?
I have seen that screenshot on the left, Kevin, but it was Kaylee's mother wearing it at yes. MacStock.
Yes.
And I never did understand what it was.
Probably has to do with a game of some sort, I'm guessing.
Why is this not working?
Maybe an 8-bit game.
There we go. All right, I like that there. All right, here we go. Ooh, that's not what I meant to do. What did that just happen? Maybe a little smidge of a gap there. Eddie Tonkoy is a voice you've heard before, but he's under a new pseudonym. You heard him just last week with his dulcet tones telling us about his Shure MV7 Plus microphone. You're going to be hearing a lot from him over the next month or two as he's got even more terrific ideas for material for the NosillaCast. He's written a terrific article for us about how he used the static site generator Hugo to create a website for his wife's books at jerntonko.com. jerntonkoy.com. jerntonkoi.com. But you won't hear that until next week's show. After he sent us this relatively human-friendly explanation, I asked him if he'd up the nerd level and get into more details as a piece for Programming by Stealth. He loved the idea and recorded what I think might be the first solo episode of Programming by Stealth, entitled Building an Indie Author Site with Hugo by Eddie Tonkoi. We've already posted that as Tidbit 15 on the Programming by Stealth feed. If you're just nerd curious, you'll want to wait a week to hear the original version. But if you enjoy a little bit of coding, then the Programming by Stealth episode is for you. Thank you so much, Eddie, especially for recording 2 versions for us. All right.
How many? You've done 15 of those PBS tidbits. I don't think I've been noticing them.
Yeah. Let's see. Now what do I do? I guess I'll do this because we're changing subject here. All right. Before I get started on my first article, I'd like to apologize if you follow the blog and saw a weird post go up that was asking you for a password. I was trying to test an idea with someone else, and I mistakenly thought that putting it behind a password would make it private. I was wrong. Thanks to all the alert readers who sent me screenshots and asked me, hey, what's up with this? Why are you asking me for a password? All right, let's finally get started. Now there's a question, where to put that fun sound? The fun sound separates things, but now I'm actually going to do the article like 5 seconds later. I don't think I need another fun sound, do I?
Probably not.
So my chapter mark and my fun sound are not aligned right now.
Boy, will the world be able to handle this?
All right. I hope so. All right, everybody buckle up. In the words sung by that amazing philosopher, Britney Spears, oops, I did it again. I've descended into madness for the second time in my 20 years of Apple podcasting. I have mind mapped all of system settings in macOS 26.1 Tahoe. In the article I'm about to talk to... No. I'm going to walk you through how I did it last time, why I did it again, so I could search system settings, and how I improved the process to do it much faster than last time. But you may want to just jump to the mind map without hearing all of the gore behind its creation. So the first link in the post that I'm talking about right now takes you directly to a searchable mind map of all system settings for macOS 26.1. From that page, you can also download the mind map in SVG format to have it for your very own, or Markdown, and that doesn't make sense. Or Markdown. To have it for... I don't like that sentence. From that page, you can also download the mind map in SVG format to have for your very own. You can also download it in Markdown, which when opened with It's not written right. I don't like it. From that page, you can also download the mind map in SVG format to have for your very own, or you can download it in Markdown. When that's opened with Brett Terpstra's Marked it's really useful. You can also get it as an OPM file if you favor an outline view. I even provided a ridiculously large PNG image file of the map, which is in no way helpful, but might make a nice poster for the side of a building. All right, now let's get to the story behind the magic. If you forget where this page is, when you go to podfeet.com, one of the buttons says Special Pages. This qualifies as a special page. So you can just click on Special Pages, and the first thing you'll see is the mind map of all of system settings. All right, now let's get to the story behind the magic. In 2017, I decided to map all of iOS settings for iOS 11. This gargantuan task took me over a month, working on it for literally hours every single day. When I started, I had no idea it would take so long. But, when I start a project, I nearly always finish it, even if nobody asked me to do it. When I published my mind map of doom, trademark Donald Burr, I made sure to say that I would not be fixing any typos and that under no circumstances would I even consider trying to keep the mind map up to date as Apple changed it over the ensuing OS updates. I've always been very proud of this mind map, and I smile when other people mention it, even though the admiration often comes with a shake of the head. What kind of person would take on such a task? I also remember calculating that if I printed it out full size on US letter paper, it would have been over 6 feet tall. In the words of the genius writers, but I don't believe it. That's in there twice. Sandy, you should have caught that. I said it twice. Britney Spears, oops, I did it again. I don't get good help around here. Remove second oops. Second oops. I can't even read my own handwriting. And fix SVG download words. It is free help. You get what you pay for. Okay. In the words of the... Now, I did have a problem to be solved when I undertook this next adventure in mind mapping. You've probably noticed that settings has gotten awfully complicated and awfully deep, and it's often quite difficult to figure out where Apple may have buried a setting you seek. As a way to combat this problem, Apple added a search field, but for some reason the success rate, at least for me, it's only around 72%. You can find some settings using search, but a significant number of searches go unresolved. As I've bemoaned this situation, I've ranted that this should be very easy to implement because there can't be that many words in all of settings, right? It's not like they're having to search something like, say, I don't know, the internet. Well, here's a perfect example. You know how sometimes you need to set the service order of your networks, like moving Ethernet above Wi-Fi? Try searching for that in system settings. You'll be rewarded for your trouble with the message, no result for set service order. Check the spelling or try a new search. Because I've got my handy-dandy mind map of system settings, I can tell you that set service order is under network, as you might expect, but you have to know to hit the nondescript 3-dot menu with the downward chevron that's below the network device listing. Among a few other gems, you'll find set service order. My goal through the magic of mind mapping was to give you a searchable document that would show you exactly how to get the setting you need. As I started noodling around with the idea of going through this pain a second time, remembering the weeks and weeks and weeks of drudgery, I realized that the reason it took so long was that I had to type in every single setting. What if I could create the mind map without ever typing in anything at all? This would require some third-party tools that I already have at my disposal. Before I dig into the tools, I know you're never going to mind map system settings yourself. I realize that. But as you learn about how I did this, keep the tricks and tools I'll employ in the back of your mind for your own future, different projects. If the goal is to never type any of the text, that means we need a way to copy and paste the original text. System settings, and lots of other applications and tools, doesn't have as selectable text. The App Store, the Music Store, the Books app, every image you see on the internet, all of these have text you cannot select. The good news is that there's several tools for macOS that will allow you to select and copy text from images or from any screen that doesn't normally allow a selection of text. The first one is Text Sniper, and it's from textsniper.app. This is a single-purpose app designed to help accomplish this task. It's $8 directly from the developer, $10 via the Mac App Store, and it's available with a SetApp subscription. I said Text Sniper was a single-purpose app, but it can also read QR codes and translate text to speech. By default, text... Stop and save.
Hey,
I said text... Yes?
Sorry. A small typo, just a period rather than a comma. Have you made changes where I shouldn't do anything yet?
I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and make changes, but remind me to refresh it from the web from you before I
Okay.
fix it. Because I am going to fix some stuff, but I need to get your changes
But you
first.
haven't yet.
Correct. But I need to refresh it to do that.
Okay.
And it's available with a SetApp subscription. Thank you for the save, Kevin. Now, I said Text Sniper was a single-purpose app, but it can also read QR codes and translate text to speech. By default, Text Sniper will capture line breaks, but you can toggle that off. We're going to talk a little bit later about why capturing line breaks matters and why it's important in a little bit. Now, the very powerful CleanShot X, designed to take screenshots and record on-screen video, can also capture text from what appear to be inaccessible sources. CleanShot X is available for $30 from the developer at cleanshot.com, and you can get it through a setup subscription. CleanShot X's settings include a section for adding keyboard shortcuts, where you can have one to capture text without line breaks and one with line breaks. Now, my go-to screenshot tool is Shotter from shotter.cc. That's SHOTTR. You can use it for free with slightly limited tools and occasional nagging, or you can buy it for the grand sum of $12, or you can be a member of the Friends Club like me for $30. That's completely optional. Shotter also has the built-in capability of selecting an area from which to grab text. By default, Shotter doesn't add line breaks, but if you capture a block of inaccessible text from, say, a website image, line breaks would make each line a separate segment of text, when you'd probably want it as the original paragraph. I think that's why no line breaks is the default. But there are times you would want line breaks. So right after you capture some text with Shotter, a little window pops up at the top of the screen offering to toggle on line breaks. In settings for Shotter, you can reverse the behavior so it defaults to keeping line breaks, but you can press the button after capture to remove them. Kind of a nice compromise. All three of these tools are equally good at copying inaccessible text, and I think it's terrific that we have so many choices on macOS. I use Shotter, but you use what works for you. Now, let's explore how I use Shotter to copy text in conjunction with mind mapping. After the demise of my beloved iThoughts, I moved over to MindNode from mindnode.com. My post on choosing an iThoughts replacement may be my most commented research project. Last December, the folks at MindNode released a new version of MindNode called MindNode Next, but after testing early versions and finding they didn't support all of the capabilities I need, I've stuck with their MindNode Classic version. I really should give MindNode Next another try sometime soon to see how far they've gotten in developing the tool, since it is the future of the product. I just saw something I'm pretty sure I fixed, so I am going to refresh.
Okay.
Open that back up. All right. I got to find out where I was. There we go. All right. Yep. I just found something to fix, so I'll have to go back. See, maybe Sandy saw a version where I'd fixed that mistake. We're gonna just have her on probation for now. All right. Now, I want to give a disclaimer. To the very best of my ability, in creating the mind map for system settings, I worked really hard to not include anything specific to the apps and devices on my Mac. However, in a few cases, I took poetic license. For example, I included settings for AirPods and Beats headphones using my AirPods Pro and Beats Fit Pro as these examples. Now, you probably don't have the exact same devices as me, but since there was a whole section for these controls, and they're very different depending on whether you have Apple earbuds or Beats, I thought you would allow it. This ends the disclaimer. Now let's talk about how I use these tools together to capture all of macOS settings in less than a week and maybe 10 hours of work instead of a month of grueling, awful work. I open system settings on the left side of my screen with MindNode on the right. In MindNode, I add a central node with an appropriate title. Once you've added the central node, hitting Enter gets you out of typing mode and selects the current node. Giving a second Enter creates a new child node. If you're not a keystroke person, there's a little plus sign to the right of the node when you hover over it, inviting you to create a new child node. But we're looking for efficiency here because we're going to have to do this hundreds of times. Now here's the first amazing part. At the very top of system settings, it says Apple Account. Without clicking into system settings and keeping MindNode as the active window, I use the keystroke Command-Shift-8 to bring up the crosshairs to select text for Shotter to capture it. I chose that keystroke because it's the same as Text Sniper, which is what I used before I ever added Shotter to my repertoire. Even though you'll be clicking and dragging across the system settings window, it does not bring system settings to the foreground. And that's really important because I've got MindNode open and I've got it in the foreground. I want to stay in MindNode. I don't want to be switching back and forth. So we now have the text in the system clip. So we now have the text in the system clipboard, and the first top-level node in MindNode is ready to accept text. Since MindNode is still in the foreground, we can hit Command-V to paste in the text. Boom! No typing, no clicking back and forth between the two apps. Now, this probably sounds like it's going to take way longer than it would take to just type Apple account, but when you need to do this it was literally thousands of times. My notes say hundreds of times. It was literally thousands of times. Quit flubbing. But when you need to do this literally thousands of times, it goes way faster than typing, and there will be no typos. I have to just hit enter twice, and I'm ready to enter text for the first child node for Apple account. Now that was a baby step. I'm going to blow your mind now. One of the advantages of MindNode is that you can work in mind map mode, outline mode, or view both at the same time. In the upper left of the window, you'll see a little sidebar icon with a drop-down chevron. From that drop-down, you choose Mind Map and Outline. The left sidebar then will show you the outline view, while the main window continues to show the Mind Map view. And we're going to open that side panel because there's one function that works only in Outline, and it's the magical step to this process. In System Settings, if we select Apple Account, we'll see a list of 7 items, all of which have chevrons pointing to the right, indicating there are deeper options within. We want to create 7 child nodes off of Apple Account. We could capture them one by one with the process we followed for the parent node, but there's a better way. Switching back to MindNode as the foreground app, and with the first child node ready to accept text, we can again invoke the text recognition tool with our keystroke of choice. But this time, we're going to drag across all 7 elements in System Settings. Be very careful not to select the icons to the left of the words or the chevrons on the right. We only want to get that text. As soon as we complete this selection area, Shouter will expose a pop-up at the top of the screen that says Text without line breaks copied, followed by the text it copied. Now, all 7 of the items will be all run together, which is not what we want. On the right, you'll see the button that says Add Breaks. If you select that button, it will change to Cut Breaks in case you change your mind. Now, we still have MindNode as the foreground app with a node ready to accept text, so we simply hit Command-V again to paste text. This time, you'll see all 7 items listed one above the other with line breaks, all in that same node. Now we'll learn why I have the outline view showing in the sidebar. In outline view, if you put your cursor to the left of the last item and hit enter, it separates that line into a new child node. Simply hitting up arrow once pops you into the section with the 6 remaining items, hit enter again, and now we have 5. Rinse and repeat, and all of the items are now properly in their separate nodes. Now, I mentioned this can only be done using this sidebar of the outline view. You can't do this enter thing to create new child nodes over in the mind map side. Now, this was such a huge time saver to get 7 items copied at once rather than copy text, paste 7 separate times. I use this more than hundreds of times to create this mind map. Now, the next step in the process, and this is a really critical step, is to write a blog post all about this subject and talk about how clever you were in the way you did it, as you're meticulously describing every step of copying 7 lines of text and pasting them into a selected node and separating them one by one. Discover there's a far easier way you could have been creating multiple nodes all at once. Instead of having an empty child node in the text entry mode, select the parent node, copy the 7 lines from System Settings with line breaks, and hit Paste. It pastes them as separate nodes. You don't have to paste them as one node and then separate them. I couldn't believe it when I figured this out. I mean, I've spent a lot of time, 10 hours or so, getting this all perfect, and I discover at the end, after I write it up, that was a way better way to do it. Can you imagine how much time I would have saved if I discovered that a week earlier? I'm glad I did learn it, though, if only to teach you a better way. Now, with System Settings, not every section with multiple items was as easy to copy as Apple's account's first level was. Often there's a slider or some other element that blocked copying all of the items at once, but when it was possible, it was awesome. Now, here's another critical step. As I was writing up my genius process, Apple released macOS 26.1. Now, surely they wouldn't have changed System Settings with a point release, right? I mean, I knew there'd be new releases and I knew there'd be a point release, but they wouldn't put in new settings in System Settings. But unfortunately, We know that at the very least, they added a setting under appearance to change liquid glass. Knowing that, it meant I had to check every single setting again. Now, the good news is I found some mistakes on my second pass through, and it turns out I wasn't as thorough on the first half of settings as I was on the second half. Now that I had a faster way to copy multiple settings at once, it was rather fun to be obsessive about capturing absolutely everything. Now, there was one very scary thing as I went through comparing 26.1 settings to my mind map. I started noticing that some sections had the items out of order in the mind map. And it wasn't just once or twice. I'd say maybe 20 or more sections were out of order. Now, my hope is that maybe my method of capturing multiple lines and then separating them borked the order, but there were so many, I'm really doubtful that was it. The worst possible answer is that my node simply has a flaw that's causing this. If that's happened, I can't guarantee it hasn't happened in my final product. I'll be heartbroken if anyone finds errors of that type, but I won't be particularly surprised. I'm not sure what I could do about it if we do find those errors. I had a few more things I wanted to tell you about working with my node on such a massive project. When doing so much repetitive work, keystrokes are a must. While some of my node's keystrokes are intuitive, such as tab to add a child node, left arrow to move up in the tree, command left arrow to move a node up a level in the tree, command up and down arrows to rearrange nodes within the same level, not all of my node's keystrokes are easy for me to remember and execute. For example, to fold and unfold child nodes, you select the parent node and press Option period. If you just want to open one level down, which was often the case with this massive mind map, I needed to just close everything up and just show me one level down, and then I could start working in a specific segment. Then Control Option period is your friend. For some reason, I have trouble remembering all of those, and I had to go to the menu a lot more often than I would have liked. Now, when you're working with mind maps, it's nice to balance them on the left and right sides. Actually, I need to say that the other way around. Stop. Work the order. All right. Thank you, Kevin. More often than I would have liked. When you're working with mind maps, it's nice to balance them on the right and left sides, especially if it's a huge mind map like this one. By default, new nodes all go on the right. But if you drag one of the top-level nodes to the left side, future top-level nodes will continue to be created on the left side. My node adds those new nodes in a clockwise direction. So while the nodes are in order from top to bottom on the right, they're in bottom to top order on the left. Now, it's important that I remembered that, because if I did it the other way around, like if I actively made them top down, then when I created the other formats, like say the markdown version, they would have been out of order. They would have been, reverse order. I discovered something else interesting about my node creating a massive map like this. You can use predefined themes for your mind maps or define your own. I watched Brett Terpstra presenting with a mind map a while back, and while it had a... Oh. Don't make a noise like that. I watched Brett Terpstra years ago presenting with a mind map, and he had a gorgeous theme. So I copied it, and I made it my own. They say, copying is the sincerest form of flattery, right? Anyway, it uses pastel colors for the solid nodes on a white background. Now, when I was about 75% done with my giant mind map, my node simply got tired, and it made every new top level node white. I was ready to Oh, you're fumbling it. Now, when I was about However, when I was about 75% done with my giant mind map, my node simply got tired, and it made every new top-level node white. I was able to reapply my theme, and it would mostly make the top-level nodes different colors, but eventually it would get tired again and just give me white every time, when normally it was going, pink, purple, green. Each one I would create, it would add a new color. Now they were just a whole bunch of them were white. If a node in my node has children, there will be a little chevron sticking out on the side. I think of it as like a flipper, because if you flip it, it opens and shows you all the children. I discovered completely by accident that if you hover over the flipper, you get a little white pop-up showing you the first 20 or so children within. On smaller sections, it was helpful for a quick scan to look for something, but on bigger sections, it's kind of more of a preview. Now, before we wind this up, there are some fun facts to know and tell about system settings. There are 6,900 words in system settings. That's banana pants. I said up front that there couldn't be that many words for system settings to search in itself, and in that context, I stand by my statement. I think they just don't want to build the lookup table for how to get to all those settings. Here's another fun fact. There are 2,771 individual elements in system settings. No wonder we can't find anything. And do you see why I didn't want to type any of those? 2,771 times I didn't type. Here's another one. The PNG image for all of the settings as 1024 wide is 14,568 pixels tall, and it's 1.5 megabytes in size. At 144 pixels per inch, if printed, that would be about 8.5 feet tall, or 2.57 meters, even bigger than it was for iOS 11. I was curious which top-level sections in system settings had the most elements under them, so I exported the mind map as a markdown file, and then I fed it into ChatGPT. I asked it to make me a markdown table with each section in order and tell me how many elements were below each one. It quickly came back with a beautiful little markdown table. But I don't know if you realize this, LLMs are very bad at math. I thought, maybe I better double-check Claude. I thought maybe I better check ChatGPT, so I asked Claude to do the same task, and it got completely different answers. I then had ChatGPT combine the two sets of answers into a new markdown table and sort it by ChatGPT's answer just to see if they were at least in the same order of which one was the biggest. You know what? They're not. They both agree that accessibility has the most individual sections, which I think most people know, but after that, their counts are dramatically different for many of the sections. I decided the only way to know the correct answer was to have a human do the counting. But even I'm not that nutty. I realized that many code editors have line numbers. I switched my favorite markdown editor, Typora, to source code mode that does give me line numbers. I switched Oh, hi, Shushu. I switched my favorite markdown editor, Typora, to source code mode. Armed with those line numbers, all I had to do was subtract the line numbers between each of the top-level sections. There's 30 sections, so I had to calculate 29 times and hand enter the values into the table. That didn't take too long. Now I had 3 columns of counting, ChatGPT's, Claude's, and mine. I asked ChatGPT to resort the table by the one true way, my counts. Now it turns out the top 5 sections of system settings by number of sub-elements are, drumroll, come on, what's wrong with you? Now let's talk about the top 5 sections of system settings by number of sub-elements. They are, drumroll please, nobody's surprised, accessibility at 382 subsections. Keyboard, of all things, is a very close second at 334. Focus takes a surprise third position with 238. General comes in 4th with 205. And one of the most poorly implemented features in all of macOS, screen time, comes in with a whopping 195. I put the table with all of this into the show notes if you really want to see it. And while going painstakingly through every single setting in macOS 26, I discovered 2 applications on the Mac that I never knew existed. And normal humans know about the Applications folder on their Mac. The more seasoned Mac users know that inside Applications there's a folder of Utilities, which are also applications, but maybe used a little more by nerds. Your user directory even has an Applications folder, but it's kind of rare for things to end up in there. However, into my descent into the 7th circle of system settings, I discovered that Apple has buried some applications even deeper. In System Settings, Accessibility, Motor, Keyboard, you'll find a button labeled Panel Editor, and it pops up an app I'd never seen before. Panel Editor allows you to add programmable buttons to the accessibility keyboard that stay on screen. This is such an interesting little app that I'm going to write a separate article about how it works. When System Settings exposed Panel Editor to me, I was intrigued and I wondered, where did they hide it? This is where the fabulous Find Any File from apps.temple.org came to my aid. This $6 app will literally find any file using many different ways to search. I asked it to find Panel Editor as in an app, and it found it buried in, get ready, /system/library/input methods/assistive control.app, which by the way you can't open, /content/resource/panel editor. I bet that's exactly where you would have looked for it, right? Now, the second app I discovered, which isn't quite as interesting to me, is called Directory Utility. In System Settings, Users and Groups, Network Account Server, Edit, you'll see Open Directory Utility. This app is directed at system administrators managing things like Active Directory. Find any file, found it in, /system/library/core services/application/directory utility.app. Now, there's other apps buried in the same core services/applications directory we may explore at some point too. Now, we're getting close to the bottom line, and I'm sure if you like the work I've done here, some of you may be hoping I'll mind map iOS 26 as well. Technically, I might be able to do this using the magic of iPhone mirroring so I can use the Mac to capture the text. I tested it out, and the tools to capture text from iPhone mirroring do work. Whether I will do this is a question I'm not yet ready to answer. Also, since mirroring doesn't work to support iPadOS, settings for iPad is definitely off the table. Now, after I finished the mind map, I realized I didn't have any idea how to post a usable version of it to the web. If it weren't for the genius of Brett Terpstra, this never would have been published. I'm going to do a write-up later on how he got involved and what he did. The bottom line is that I'm going to do a write-up later on how he got involved and what he did, but I will give you one hint. When you look at the mind map of Doom, there are a bunch of red buttons that allow you to zoom in and zoom out, and you can pan around and scroll on it, and you can reset it back to the center when you lose your place, because you will lose your place with all this with this mind map. All of that is Brett Terpstra's work. None of that was stuff that I did. So without Brett, this definitely would have happened. But it's such a great story, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks to hear it. Now, the bottom line is that rather than a labor of drudgery and misery, I found it rather delightful to capture all of the system settings for macOS. Using tools to do things efficiently it's like a real joy for me. I'm proud of the end product, and I know I'll be using it to search for settings. Hey, you could create a web app for the page so you can have it right in your dock. If you find it useful in any of the formats, I'd sure like to hear from you.
Well, you may have already convinced Kurt to switch over to Tahoe.
Oh, really?
With your article, apparently.
Oh, really? Oh, because now you'll be able to find things in system settings? Yeah, I'm still torn on whether the mind map provides much value to, because you can find everything. You can absolutely find it. But figuring out where it is hard because the mind map is so tall. A lot of times as you feed back, now you're trying to find the top level node, which is the most important node to go down into. You might have to scroll 8 times to go up and down. And sometimes you get stuck and go, it's supposed to be going up or down. I can't find it.
What about just zooming out?
Yeah, you can zoom out. That'll help. But if you do it, well, but it would still show. Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. I'm using the mind map, but if you do it in Markdown, that's also problematic unless you've got an app that does a real nice job of indenting. I opened the Markdown file in Typora that I love, but it doesn't do enough indenting for me to be able to see, okay, where's the top level node? But in Marked, it comes out really good. So
that's the Brett Terpstra Marked?
Yes. If you don't have Marked, it's a good tool. All right, so where are we? I can't believe how accurate.
Well, the searchable mind map.
Oh, yeah, that's just a link in the show notes. I'm not gonna read it.
Repeat it. I posted it earlier, but I'm gonna post it again. So folks in the chat room, this is, if you want to go to the mind map itself, this is it. And that screenshot's already out of date because they're red buttons now. Oh, good point. Yeah,
just to the mind map. Yeah. Just the live audience. I asked Brett, how would you, if you had created a mind map like this, how would you present it on the web? What would you do? And in, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes, he was 80% done writing a WordPress plugin for me to do what you see on the website. And over the next 3 days, 4 days, he has come out with 10 updates to it, where now you get to define the color of the buttons and what they do, and you get to put in and say, you'll see it next time, but you can go in and say, okay, what is the starting zoom level? How zoomed in do I want to let people get? How zoomed out do I want to let people get? It blows my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. I just can't even imagine. So
you're not gonna read the searchable mind map post.
No,
okay.
No.
You kind of went over it.
I didn't, right? Let's see if I can wing a support the show.
Uh-oh. I'm out of here.
Nope, that's the wrong one. Money! Hey, if you got some money laying around at the end of the month, you just can't figure out what to do with it, why don't you join Patreon and donate it to your favorite podcaster? And then after you do that, why don't you donate some to me? I think that'd be really swell. It's really easy to do. Go to podfeed.com/Patreon and become one of the cool kids.
Okay, that was good. That's pretty good. And you winged that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. Now I want security bits comes in next. Yeah, you can't complain about the length either, Steve.
Of the support the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a good one for next week too that I like a lot. That I've already recorded. All right. And that was my favorite podcaster. Jill turns around and puts it in her own back pocket. Let's see. The 9th.
No, I would never complain, Zoe.
No. Oh, I'm excited to go see our kids. And we think we have a flight too.
Yeah. So you all have heard about the canceled flights. The FAA is mandating to the airlines.
Well, no. Is it the FAA that mandated it?
I believe so.
Okay.
And so they're increasing, like a percentage or two over time. So fortunately, our flight's tomorrow, Monday, and they apparently have already predicted which flights are going to be canceled through Monday. So we at least know that our flight is solid on Monday, because they said if it still shows on schedule, then it's not canceled, at least for this reason. Weather and other things, it still could be, but we don't get bad weather here too much.
Well, Houston.
Yeah, but the weather there looks good for Monday. Anyway, a little diversion.
Yeah, I love packing for Houston. It's going to be 41 at night one night. It's going to be 81 during the day another day. It's going to be bright and sunny on that day, but it's going to be 65% chance of raining on another day. So if to pack for boiling hot, really cold, raining, and sun.
We don't know if our flight coming back is still on.
Do you remember when I went downstairs and I came back up and I asked you why I went downstairs? It was to get my rain shell.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't. I came back up. Rain shell. Right.
Is it going to rain?
Yourself. 65% of chance next Saturday.
Oh.
I mean, that's pretty far out, but I think we should have them. And humid all the time. Yeah. Oh, here's your plank. Steve, did you get the plank I sent you in mail?
I did, but I'd like to hear it again.
No, this is a different one.
Oh,
I recorded the show, and there's a part with Bart in next week's show, and
the one I won't.
Steve always likes to hear the plink, so I cut it and pasted and mailed it to him. Okay, here's the new one. Okay. Listen, you ready? Blink. Here you go.
Well done.
Bad flight. Someone's got canceled halfway to the destination. Well, halfway to the destination, that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear how this sounds. Cool kids. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time. Oh, Ron, you might not have heard as we got on. The shutdown is on its way to stopping. I don't want to get into any more detail on that because it's all political and everything, but we saw it on the news right before we came in tonight.
Yeah, I don't think they voted yet, at least last I saw. Maybe they have now, but this is the Senate we're talking about.
It looks good. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Busschots. I'm excited today because I asked for a deep dive, right, Bart?
Yes, indeed, and I'm glad you did because there isn't that much news.
Actually, we ended up still going an hour. I'm going to cut where I fumble that word. Come on. I asked for a deep dive, right? Can I get that? That's going to be tricky. Can I do it? Is it there? I asked because I did today because I asked for a deep dive, right, Bart?
Yes, indeed, and I'm glad you did because there isn't that much news.
So. Okay, good. Well, this is something that's been bugging me, and I wanted to know the answer to it, so I just said, Bart, spoon feed me.
But here we shall go. Although first, a little bit of feedback and follow-up. We talked last time about the dangers of agentic browsers. This is where instead of using AI to tell you things, you have a browser that can browse as you autonomously and interact with your bank and whatever else and do anything you can do and actually buy stuff with actual money. A giant big barrel of, oh my God, this is a terrible idea. Well,
yeah, who thought that was a good idea?
Apparently, ChatGPT. Yeah. So their Atlas browser can be tricked by fake URLs into executing hidden commands. In other words, send you a link, and instead of it just being phishing, it's now, and transfer all of your money to my bank account. Just whatever, you know.
Shock and horror. Who saw this coming?
I know. And in case you think it's just the two of us, Adam Engst wrote a blog post over on Tidbits, Be Cautious with Agentic Web Browsers. So if you'd like it in Adam's words, that's linked in the show notes too.
Oh, excellent. That's a good way to learn. Okay, great.
Yes. We talked a few times in fear that the EU was going to resurrect an utterly misguided attempt at banning encryption. The Danes had taken over the presidency of the European Union and they were trying to resurrect this really bad old bill called chat control. And they have now lost in that effort and abandoned it. They've given up. The Dutch had said, heck no. And Joop in...
Really quick, Steve, check Telegram. Thank you. That is all.
Our NosillaCast away Slack was really proud of his nation. Well, the Germans followed suit and the math doesn't work anymore.
Did you say it was the Danes who did that?
Oh, the Danes are leading the drive, yeah.
But he's from the Netherlands.
Right, but then the Dutch were the first to say no.
The Dutch, okay.
Right, so the Danes are in the driving seat, the Dutch said no, and then the Germans win. They're neighbours.
Okay.
The Danes are from Denmark.
Okay.
They're up the top.
That's what I thought.
The Dutch are from Holland. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I love doing this to Bart. I ask him all the time. Okay, explain Holland again.
Oh, God. It's just because Helma's not here.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
well, good.
It's dead.
That's good news.
This is great. Yeah. Okay, so you asked me for a deep dive, and it is about apps asking for network access. So I'm going to start by painting some important context because it's important to understand how this happens and why this is now a thing, whereas 20 years ago, no.
So before you start, though, I'm going to describe what just to make sure everybody knows the window pop-up that I'm seeing that I'm sure everybody has seen before. It says, for example, like 2 minutes ago, allow Keyboard Maestro Engine to find devices on local networks, ? This will allow the app to discover, connect to, and collect data from devices on your network. Allow? Don't allow. And everything from, a painting program to something like Keyboard Maestro that sounds like it might need a network access seem to be asking me this. And I was just curious, what does this mean and how do you decide which ones to say yes to and which ones you should say no to? we've talked about in the context of like an app that manages your contacts needs access to your contacts, but other apps do not. Your web browser should not need that. Okay, that's all right. I think that's enough. It's enough. Kevin's going to fall asleep if I talk too much longer.
If he hasn't already.
Kevin, wake up.
There, or were you hoping I'd do that?
Nope.
Excellent. I'm trying to get more creative in how I get it.
What?
I didn't realize I kept recording.
So I'm learning a lot of...
Oh, this is not part of
the big picture stuff falling into place?
Yeah. What's going on?
It's just very well told. They're good stories.
Kevin.
Something's wrong. Oh, no.
Pictures in the link in the show notes. It goes to Network Rail's Media Center. You can see the Control-Alt-Delete.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think they lost face because he didn't go with what the public wanted.
So I was kind of saying the public by voting for Boaty McBoatface were
but they didn't name
people causing embarrassment.
But they didn't name it that. We're arguing about Boaty McBoatface.
Voting for Boaty McBoatface were
but they didn't name
people causing embarrassment. But by voting for Control-Alt-Delete, I forgive everything. I think that's just so good.
Okay.
Are you sure everything's in sync here?
We had some talking over each other.
Voting for Control-Alt-Delete, I forgive everything. I think that's just so good.
Oh, it's joy.
And finally, if you would like something to listen to, I have a double suggestion. So
maybe because
there
it's
has
a
been a really
train.
good...
What's going on? It sounds like
no,
you got
it's messed up. It's messed up. I know. I'm trying to figure it out. Shoot. Yeah, shoot. Some of that cleanup I did earlier, I think. Okay, we gotta go back to the beginning. Okay. Asked for a deep dive, right? Security bits with Bart Booth shots. I'm excited today because I guessed asked for a deep dive, right, Bart? Okay, let's see where the end is right now.
HTTPS. So if you just say google.com, Chrome is going to go to https://google.com.
It hasn't been doing that all along?
No, the default on the internet has always been
good there.
Alt-Delete.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
That looks good.
And the public voted for it, so
it
utterly redeemed. There's pictures in the link in the show notes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's just very well told. They're good storytellers. So even if it gets a little technical, they tell it so well that you just go, oh, okay, I get that. And we didn't scare you too much, right? Because at the end of the day, we all know that the answer is always the same. Stay patched, so you stay secure.
Oh, now listen to what Bart says.
Sorry, did I stomp on you there, or were you hoping I'd do that? Excellent. I'm trying to get more creative in how I get us to that sentence.
There, that's what I wanted you to hear. Okay. All right. Well, they sound like an idiot earlier. I didn't fix it, but that's okay. What?
No, nothing.
Whatever you're going to say. I'm sure it was nice. All right. Hour and 13 minutes. There we go. One thing I find fascinating is I write my blog posts in Bear, and then in Bear it tells me how long is it going to take me to read it. And it is exactly, if I take the number, if it says it's 10 minutes, I make it 150% of that. So I make it 15. It is spot on every single time. So that said 25 minutes, and I was done right about 25 minutes.
I'm surprised you take longer to read, not...
So I think that the time to read is reading, not reading.
Not saying it, not voting.
Not reading out loud, reading in your head. That confused me at first. It was like, God. Yeah. All right, here we go. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? I love to get emails. Like when I accidentally post something I shouldn't have. You should send me an email and tell me that. If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me at Mastodon. I'm at podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, where are you going to go? podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely Nosilla castaways. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate, where you could use Apple Pay or any credit card, or you could even use PayPal at podfeet.com/PayPal. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, I thought I fixed this. Oh, sorry. If you haven't wait to fun live show, you're going to have to wait until, what's the date? The 23rd. Wait until November 23rd to, all right. If you want, and if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you're going to have to wait until November 23rd to head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Are you fat shaming our cat?
No. I'm saying
she's
skinny.
Lost
a lot of weight.
She has.
Yeah.
She's just a little moose. Now he's complaining the other cat's fat. The vet was really worried about how thin one of our cats was and mildly concerned about how fat the other one was. And now they've kind of switched places. And stay subscribed.
One ate the other.
All right. I have 4 chapter marks.
Oh.
How many do you have?
I haven't even been counting. Hold on. Hold, please.
50 grams, no more. Ed, that's a little joke between cat owners.
5.
You know what I probably didn't do? I probably didn't do the searchable mind maps. Where am I going to put that?
Well, yeah, maybe just okay.
Slap it in there.
There is a point where you mention it in the How I Did It article.
Yeah, you're right.
That's probably where it.
All right, how far? We have to find it. Hang on. Why I did it again, so I could search system settings, and how I improved the process to do it much faster than last time. But you may want to just jump to the mind map without hearing all of the gore behind its creation. Should I do it right there? Right before jump to the mind map?
Yes, you can find it here as your next words.
But,
right there.
Okay, I'm not at, you can find the map. I'm at mind map. I was going to do it here. But you may want to just jump to the mind map.
Okay, yeah, at the beginning.
You'll allow it?
I'll allow it.
That was a good good catch, Steve. All right. Now I have 5. Now can I export?
Yes.
Good. My bird is 25 grams. So Ed's cat can eat 2 of those then. That's me.
2 birds. With 1 stone.
I heard it. I couldn't figure out how to make a joke out of it.
How much is a stone, Zoe?
Oh, yeah. How much is a stone?
I think it's 2.5 pounds, something like that. Maybe it's 5 pounds. 14 pounds. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow. Well, so that'd be close to what, our 2 cats added together?
No, they're about 9, 10, aren't they?
Well, they had slipped down to, Grace was down to 8.
Okay.
But not Ada. Actually, I don't know what she weighs now. It's not interesting to anybody. No. Stop talking about this, Allison. All right. Well, I am about to upload the show, and we are 1 minute before the end of showtime. So I say we call the show. What do you think?
I think it's good. So we'll see you all in the chat room in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Not 1 week. So have a good and safe 2 weeks.
All right. See you, everybody.